This morning for breakfast I'm making the guys Danishes. It's a gluten-free mix. So what's gone into this so far is 3 cups of mozzarella cheese that's shredded, 4 eggs, 1/2 cup of butter that's been softened and even melted a little bit, 2/3 cup of coconut flour, 1/4 cup maple syrup, 1/4 cup pure honey. Let's see what else here. 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of pink salt. Mix it all together. Now this part can be tricky for some folks. It can be sticky, but anyway, so what this is, they're making Danishes. So you take enough here. This is how I do it. I've been doing this for over a year. Anywho, kind of make it. They actually cook up really big, so a lot of people will make them huge and then they're like, oh my goodness. So anyway, just like that. And if it crumbles a little bit, don't worry. It's gonna be just fine. I make a divot there in the middle, just like that. And I'm gonna come back and add some filling into that. So I'm gonna hurry up, get this tray loaded, and then I'll show you how we do the filling. And if you don't want to use honey, if you don't want to use maple syrup, you can also use, one of the things I've used is sugar-free, what's it called? Coffee syrups, like sugar-free ones. You can, like, there's some really fun flavors you can do with those if you want. You could use, I don't know how to say this correctly, I'm sure, erythritol. You could use, I've heard people using I think it's called a monk fruit. Things like that. So you see how I'm giving these guys some distance on here on this tray. Trust me, they're gonna get big. So I'm gonna finish this tray up and I'll show you guys the next step. All right, the next step, these guys are all put where they need to be. The next step is we're gonna take some cream cheese. I don't measure it, I just take a slice. And each one of these is gonna get a slice of cream cheese on it. Another thing you can do, I said I used vanilla in this one today, but I've also done where I'll use like half vanilla and say half coconut extract, or almond extract is really, really good in it. You could also just do maple syrup extract, that's really good. So I mean, you can totally be creative. If you want this to be very fruit flavored, lemon extract would be really good. Put a lemon filling on this. These make a really good breakfast on weekends. I'll prep ahead, and then if they don't get eaten immediately, which they usually do, usually I have enough to get at least a day during the week for school meals and everything. Next, I've got some homemade apricot butter. It's gonna come in here, add a little bit to each one. Doesn't take much. You could use whatever you've got handy. I think a lemon would be a good flavor. That's something I haven't tried, but it sounds really good. Let's see, I've done orange marmalade. That one was really good. If you didn't want to do something like this, you could actually put fresh berries on top and cook those berries into it. You know, be creative. What is your family like? What do you like? This is a spiced apricot butter, so this one has cinnamon in it. So there we go. Those guys are all ready. That's what I needed to get done on this group. This recipe will easily make at least 18, I believe. At least. It makes quite a few. So anyway, these guys are going in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes, or until they've got some goldenness to them. Sometimes it can take up to 12 minutes. Like today, it's very, very wet outside. It's 100% humidity and raining. So these guys might push to the 12-minute mark. If it's a really dry day in the summertime, I come back to 8 to 9 minutes depending on how well it's cooking. So these guys are going in the oven, and next step you'll see when they come right on out. How awesome do those look? I told you they get big. Look how beautiful they are. So I'm gonna let them cool here for a little bit, and then I'll be putting them on my glass keeper. It's like a cake display deal. Anywho, I'm gonna let these guys cool off a little bit so they can harden just a hair, and then I'll be moving them to the end, putting on for the next tray. We'll have about 12 more of these guys to make. So you can see why I say, you know, don't make them massive. They grow pretty big, but the flavor is amazing. At this point, some people will sprinkle it with some powdered sugar, or you could drizzle a little bit of honey over the top. You could get creative, do something funny. You could put an icing on it. We prefer it just like this, nothing else added. Now John, our youngest, actually likes to put maple syrup on top of it. That's his specialty, but the rest of us, we just eat them as you see them. So play with this recipe, try different things, let me know what works for you, if you find something really fun to try. But yeah, enjoy.